What?
Was as you started the video. I hold on. I gotta find this. I have a window open somewhere that's playing music. I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Literally, I had some Edge sleeps tabs
Yep.
now, I guess.
Hmm.
So I guess one of them kicked it. It just started playing music. Like you started the video. It was like you were doing the music. Like it was timed perfectly. Let's start this one over, shall we? Good morning, Brad.
Here we are on a
Still have dementia.
tech related podcast doing tech related items. It's yeah. Here we are, Wednesday.
Yeah, nothing big happening today, I guess.
No, nobody, nothing. Actually, the big news of the day, Paul. Very, very exciting news. Confirmed exclusively through a reply and an Instagram comment. And I know this is going to make you very happy. It
Okay.
looks like the game Fall Guys is coming to Xbox Game Pass, or I don't know if that's on the PC or the console or Narnia or what, but that's what we've all
Yeah.
been waiting for.
Is it?
I don't know. Well, what you may have been waiting for, Paul, is actually Apple TV being extended plus whatever through July.
So
Was
it's kind of an interesting offer, right?
hmm
These are people who bought an iPhone in late 2019, not last year, 2019.
So
So
this would be my wife.
yeah. So if you have Apple TV, you got Apple TV Plus for free
Hmm
for I think a year originally, right? It's normally
hmm
$4.99 a month, and then at some point Apple extended it through the end of February, um, and now it's unofficial. Like they haven't announced it, but
hmm
people are seeing like now it's going. I think through the end of what April, I guess. Just enough time to see Servant for season 2 for free.
What's that?
It's one of the shows they have. It's pretty good.
Is it? I feel like Apple should be able to create pretty good TV shows because they have unlimited budget. Like there's.
So yeah, my theory is that obviously this is not a goodwill gesture, right?
Hmm
I think they understand that not enough people are gonna pay to subscribe because there's not enough content, and like everyone else, they can partially blame the pandemic for the inability to record. You know, because obviously you can't have shoots out. You know, when the whole world shut down. So I suspect they're not where they wanted to be
hmm
for whatever reason, and they're trying to pad it out so that there's a little bit more time where uh, they can get more content up there and then have a more compelling offer, for people to actually pay for. That's my guess. But by the way, if you haven't done, actually, I didn't link to it, so I can't point you to this. But there was a Wall Street Journal article from a
hmm
couple weeks ago I saved, and it talked about streaming services in 2020, and Disney Plus has exploded out of nowhere. Right,
Yeah.
launched in November 2019. HBO Max has surged in recent weeks because of the Time Warner movie release deal. But the biggest one by far, and it's bigger than kind of almost the rest of them combined, is Netflix. Netflix just surpassed 200 million users. Hulu, Prime Video, all the ones that people know about. But of the whole group, and it includes such things as CBS All Access and the new Peacock network. The one that's doing the worst by far is Apple TV Plus, by far.
Is it?
And that's however you choose to look at it, right?
Mm.
There's sheer, just actual numbers of people watching. But the worst metric is paid versus unpaid. The Apple one is off the charts. It's I don't remember the number. It's very big non-paying because of course those are the people who got it for free. But that
Yep.
tells you a couple of things. One is that not a lot of people have arbitrarily decided to subscribe to this thing otherwise, right? In other words, the free offer time came and went. 2020 happened, the pandemic happened,
hmm
and people were like, "Well, we're going to be watching more content. Let's see what this thing's all about." And a lot of them just said no. There just wasn't enough there. And I that's interesting. But Apple TV Plus and Disney Plus both launched in the same month, and Disney Plus usage is 3 times that of Apple TV Plus, and it's almost all paid, right? They have very few people on a short-term, limited, free deal.
hmm
So it hasn't done well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like if you can't launch a streaming service in the middle of a time when people are all stuck home, like right, you join the likes of like Meg Whitman's Bonfire, um,
Well,
like the
Quibi, you mean?
yeah.
The
I prefer
service's
the
name so it
Bonfire.
should not be spoken. Did I
Yeah.
just like raise a demon or something? Um, yeah, Apple. I'm not defending Apple, but I will say, we all know that Apple does things in their own way, and so
hmm
Apple is quality over quantity, that kind of thing. You could kind of imagine them taking a slower approach, and that
Yeah.
probably explains this. Some of the shows are pretty good. You know, the For All Mankind was good. Servant, like I said, was good. That might be the extent of what we watched, but I don't think we've watched anything on Apple TV that we haven't liked. But we've only watched a couple things on Apple
Yeah.
TV. I mean, we've watched more new shows on Netflix in the past month than we have ever on Apple TV. So
Yeah, I've watched nothing on Netflix other than
really, oh, there's a whole wonderful world of stuff on Netflix.
the only thing I watch. There's two things I watch on there. Either
Yeah.
Bill Burr or Dave Chappelle stand up,
Okay, let's stand up.
or their nature documentary that they did.
Which one?
It's basically Planet Earth, but whatever they called it was really well done, and that's
Oh
about
no,
it.
their original series are often fantastic. We just watched it's a French production, but it's based on a French kind of Sherlock Holmes character, gentleman thief. Lupin, I think is the name of it. You know, excellent. Narcos, unbelievable.
See, the
House
problem
of
is I'm
Cards.
missing that part
Awesome.
of my brain. Like I can't get into.
Like long-form dramatic content.
Yeah, like I
Oh, well, you're missing out on a whole era of TV because this is
yeah,
this
like
is like
I
gold,
don't
like-
watch tons. Like I can't.
Yeah.
My brain just is like whatever.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work.
I mean, we watch TV every night basically. I mean, so we watch a couple hours of TV.
I don't know. It
That's
just
how we wind.
like-
It's other than that, we could just be like binge watching CNN because that news is all freaking fantastic. You know.
yeah. My wife is watching right now. Designated Survivor, I think. I've got bits of it.
So
It.
that's like a what do you call it? Like a network TV show, right?
It's-
I've
I don't
never
even
seen
know,
it.
like,
It looks
it's-
okay.
It seems
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Like
like-
I've watched parts of it, but
I can't watch stuff like that now though. Like there was a movie called it doesn't matter. I think it's called Greenland or something. It's like one of those awful action apocalypse movies. And you know, the world's getting hit by meteors and they can only save a certain number of people and this family gets divided and I'm like I can't watch stuff like that. Like it's just like it's too close and it's too you know, like we're on the edge of this apocalypse right now. Like I just don't to me that's not
it's a little too close to. It was much
Yeah,
more
it's-
fun, like in the late '90s when.
yeah, it's not entertainment. Yeah, exactly. Like those movies, exactly. Like with like you know, rock stars in the soundtrack, and they race to up in space to get rid of a meteor or something. Like, yeah, that was fun back then. Now it's like,
Yeah, see, like I can't get into that stuff, but I've quite literally watched like an hour-long documentary about the engine on the Saturn V, and more specifically, just the baffling that they had to use to create to get rid of the turbulence in the flames. Like I can watch that stuff. You could put me down on a couch and I want to get up for a day.
historical documentaries? And I don't mean like World War II. I mean like could be like a true crime thing, or it could be like about I'm trying to think what else they do stuff on, like some there was a Bee Gees documentary on HBO that was fantastic. You like stuff like that? Is that?
Yeah, I can watch that.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of that too.
I don't know. I think it's just like the whole non-fiction genre is
Versus drama or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
or
There's
the
nothing wrong with that.
fiction
I mean,
drama. Non-fiction is real
you should
life.
look. I would just go to Netflix and look through the documentary section.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff there.
I don't know. It's something with my brain that it's just like it's never like it's just never worked.
Well, look, it's hard for anyone to argue, Brad, you should be sitting your ass for 2 hours every night and zoning out. Maybe
Oh, don't
have a
worry, I
drink.
do that with Call of Duty.
Well, but see, you're not, but you're engaged in something.
That is
I mean,
true.
That there's a big difference between engaging your brain and literally turning it off.
So, anyways, Microsoft announced some new. So this was somewhat awkwardly timed because we know that 10X is coming down the pipe, but they announced some new, like, really low-end education PCs, which we all kind of thought were going to be going towards 10X, but they had to announce it because I think it's in the UK somewhere. There's a huge education conference happening.
Yeah. So coincidentally, over the past weekend, I threw up a bunch of screenshot galleries of, basically every UI there is in there and in 10X. And then on Monday, I wrote a kind of an overview. This the questions I have about this thing, because it's, whatever. And I mentioned that conference because what I was reminded of was every January it used to be called BETT, BETT, which stands for British Education something something, and now it's called BETT something else, and it's just BETT non-acronym. I don't remember the name. It doesn't matter. I think of it as BETT, but there's always these big announcements at this time from Microsoft and Google and everyone else involved in this sector. And that caused me to tweet. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I said, hey, I'm getting all these PR things about Chromebooks and education PCs. If Microsoft is going to launch 10X this year, and we think they are, any day now, this would be the time. And then they put out their little PR, and not a mention, not even one. But you know what? You look at those devices, the education, and they pointed to a handful. There's actually a lot more. Asus, Dell, Acer, companies I've never heard of. It doesn't matter. All these companies, HP, they're all coming out with Chromebooks and education class PCs. They're inexpensive. They're $185 to $329. I'm sure they have, I don't know the specs off the top of my head, but it's probably like Celeron processors and 4 gigs of RAM, maybe even. And, some of them are starting to get some slightly modern features, but, that's what you get at that price range. Well, Windows 10X almost certainly would run better on those devices. Does it have the functionality that education needs? We can have that debate, but I think that's really, people are like, why are they doing this? And I think the reason they're doing it is education will always have those requirements, those like crappy little inexpensive computers.
Yep.
How do we need to get something that can run well and actually answer the need, right? So, Windows 10, can answer the need for sure, but it's complex and it doesn't run well on those PCs, right? I mean, that's the big problem. So I don't know.
We'll find out. I think we'll hear maybe officially something about 10X maybe in March, somewhere around there is my...
Yeah, I was thinking, you think we always kind of go back to, I think it was, I guess it doesn't matter what year, it was 2017 when they announced the first Surface laptop.
Yeah, the 10S.
That was at a May event. And it was just a Microsoft thing. I'm probably timed to nothing other than they were ready to go. And it occurred to me, well, they did do this then. So if they're going to launch this new thing now, it doesn't have to happen in January, but they could retroactively say, hey, look, remember all those things we announced back then? Well, you have the option to get 10X on those as well. So I guess they could do that.
Yeah, I would imagine the education buying time is probably sometime late spring, right? Because they'd want to get all the PCs over the summer and then have them good to go for August or whatever timeline the school starts back.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, people tend to think of back to school as being like September, and it's like you've already missed it if it's September.
Yeah, you're not ordering 100 laptops in September or more.
Well, that was the problem with Windows 95. I actually worked at a college at that time, and one of the big concerns was, why even publish a book about this thing? No, there is no school that can possibly have this thing out. And the rationale at the time was, well, over the Christmas break, there are going to be a handful of schools that start piloting this stuff, and then so we should just be in place with this thing, But when you release an operating system in August, you're not making back to school. It's already happened, So yeah. Anyway, the point being, if 10X is going to be announced, it has to be the first half of the year, and honestly, should be the first quarter of the year. But I guess we'll see.
That just brought back some really weird memory. I remember in college, I'm sure they still have computer labs. I'm sure that's still a thing. But they actually had one designated computer in the primary computer lab that I went to.
That's right. College View is in the 2000s, right?
Yeah. So this would have been 2004 through 2008.
Okay. So yeah, they would definitely have computer labs, sure.
Yeah. So they had like computer labs, but you'll see where we're going with this. But they always had one designated computer that had like the next release of Windows on it that you could play around with. And I always chose it. I always chose that one, which at the time was Vista. Yeah.
What?
Vista was like, wasn't that 06?
Vista didn't come out until the end of 2006.
Yeah, so that's what it would have been on there, because it was pre-release builds of the next version for people to play around with and try to get familiar with it before it was released. Yeah. Talking about crazy old...
Did it put the WoW back in the PC or whatever the slogan was at the time?
I don't know. It was always nobody ever sat there, so that was always open. I always took it because I always thought it was fun to play around with that thing. So.
I'll never forget, we were visiting wine country with friends, and I was using Windows Vista, which I think at that point was out, or whatever. But I had my computer open, and my friend's wife walked into our hotel room or whatever and looked at it, and she said, "Oh my gosh," she goes, "That's beautiful. Is that a Mac?" And I was like, this is how I know Microsoft isn't marketing this thing correctly, because no, it's not a Mac.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing here, we'll end on this one because I'm going to have a post out later today. So I'm doing like a 4-month follow-up to the Surface Duo. And so you
Would you
can
call
go.
it maybe a eulogy?
Well, so here, this is kind of how this is like the crux of
Yeah.
the whole post is that since it's been released, well, like, take a step back in time, right? You have Windows Mobile, you have Zune, you have Band, you have all these mobile Microsoft products that have effectively been abandoned. And then Microsoft comes out with this thing, and I was really hoping that they were going to be, like all energetic. We're going to see aggressive releases. We're going to see all sorts of stuff. But as of today, we don't know when Android 11 is coming. Every single executive who was tweeting this thing out like every 4 days has gone just completely radio silent. Like it's really just kind of the
How many
sad story
updates?
of
How many? What kind of updates has it gotten?
just basically bug patches. That's it.
So I recall vaguely that you and I discussed this. I don't know, before it was released, probably something, and we had sort of half joked and said, "Well, Microsoft has a rich history of delivering way too many updates, so I'm sure they'll do the right thing on Android." And yeah, given how clear the need is for fixes, it seems odd they haven't been a little more aggressive.
Yeah, you would think that they would be like really trying to get just at least like Android 11. Like it's running 10. So
Right.
we're probably what 3 months away from them announcing 12.
Right. That's
Now, granted, it won't come out and officially release until
actually
September.
announcing it. We're probably 2 months away, right? I mean, they start doing the early bit. Actually, it might even be February. It's pretty early.
Right.
May,
Like,
it's the beta.
we'll start learning about 12 here real soon, and then not that the Duo will be technically 2 builds behind, but it's like
Well,
it'll get 11, and then 12 will be out if they even do 11, I guess.
I don't. Look, I have my issues with the Duo, but I will say I did expect Microsoft to do a better job of updating it.
Yeah, and that's
So that's been a surprise. Yeah.
so a little bit of a Debbie Downer.
Well, it'll be a fun post.
Little Debbie does make good brownies, though.